How to stay stress-free as an independent business owner. I want to make this video about taking breaks and staying stress-free, as this was something I found quite hard to balance since starting to work on my own. For context, I've been a psychologist for 8 years and owned my own clinic for 5. Before starting my own business years ago, when I worked for hospital wards or organizations, I had a fixed schedule and took breaks when the others took breaks. When I started my own clinic, this changed. Since then, I've had to figure out how to create a schedule for myself. Work has gotten harder, not because the clients have been more difficult, but because of the added responsibility. I'm now the only wheel in the machine. As the boss, the secretary, the researcher, the accountant, and the clinician, I possess all the roles and the responsibility for the workings of my company. This is what makes it harder. If you fail when you work in a big office or a hospital, then the organization or the hospital gets the blame. If you have your own company, you get the blame. As a small business with a smaller number of customers, where business relies on you being recommended to others, this is a big responsibility. I'm quite sure this is not only how psychologists feel, but that it applies to most owners of small independent businesses. I've just passed year 5 of running my own company, and I've had to teach myself how to survive mentally in this. I call it my sustainable work life. One of the things that I found that I had to learn and balance was taking breaks. My workday consists of meeting with clients and doing office work. The only thing that's fixed in my schedule is the client appointments, but other tasks are kind of do it when I feel like it. I don't have a boss, or I'm my own boss, as I'm having my own practice, so no one's looking over my shoulders or checking if I'm doing something during my workday. This is what I wanted and love. But the downside of not having fixed work hours is that I have to manage it. I have to decide when to work and when not to. In the beginning of my journey as a business owner, I did not know this, or at least I didn't do it. I just worked all the time, either actual work or working by thinking about my next step or how to secure the knowledge and things I needed for my company's success. For hours, non-stop every day, I lived and breathed being a psychologist. I was so focused on making my dream happen that I did what so many of my clients do. I gave myself stress symptoms. It was not my plan or intention, but I didn't stop to think about it. I had, of course, been there before in my earlier work as an employee, but I always sorted it out by taking some time off in the many scheduled holidays. In Denmark, you get quite a lot of holidays as an employee, and your work week is set to maximum 37 hours. So if I worked over, I was told to take time off, and taking holidays were not a choice, but a rule. But now as an independent psychologist, no one sent me home or told me to take time off. I could work as much as I wanted, and I did. So what changed? Why didn't I just continue stressing myself into becoming too sick to work? Eventually I realized what I needed to do. I needed to find a way to do my work, but not be so stressed out all the time. I needed to implement breaks. I remember quite clearly my first break after becoming an independent psychologist. It was actually some months into the process. The first months, I have a hard time remembering. I know that they consisted mostly of me running around making posters, going to business workshops, setting my office up, doing marketing, having my first clients, and worrying about ever making any money. My worry before starting was that I would have too much time on my hands, that I would not have enough to do. This proved to be not the case. I had actually bought a fitness membership because I was thinking that I would have so much time on my hands and that I needed it so I could fill my time with that. Turned out I didn't need it, as time quickly got taken by appointments and all the other stuff. So back to the day that I took my first break. I had a 2-hour hole in my calendar between client meetings. Up until then, I'd fill the holes in my calendar with office stuff, meetings, or trying to advertise my services. But this day I didn't. I had enough work, plenty in fact, so I didn't particularly need more clients. And all the work I'd done until then, or the constant activity, was showing its signs in me being constantly a bit tired, and my mind was starting to become a bit cloudy. I knew I needed to take a break, or at least give it a go, but it had to be me doing it. I knew there would be no boss or colleagues coming and bringing me out for a break. I had to do it. So I got up, grabbed my bag, and went out the door. The first moments were a bit strange. I didn't have an errand or anything I had to do. I was in the middle of downtown, looking at the people walking around in the market halls. So I opted to do the same. Then I popped into the Flying Tiger store. Maybe you know it from where you live. And I bought myself a small box of fancy chocolates and some vinegar peanuts. I still had plenty of time until my meeting, but I didn't feel like walking anymore. I had another plan. I went back to my office, opened up my computer, and found one of my programs to watch. It was the first time in work hours that I've ever watched something not work or psychology related. So there at my desk, I put my feet up, opened my nuts and chocolates, and watched normal TV. This memory stuck in my mind as the first time I used break time correctly. I totally let go. As a psychologist, I of course know how important it is to take breaks from being on all the time, and that not doing so will lead to stress symptoms. But it seemed that I had forgotten it for myself for a little while there. Since then, I've perfected taking breaks. And I've made conscious efforts to have a wind-down ritual after work, where I just sit and do nothing. I do my own TGIF with snacks and a beverage, also on a Monday. I've started to prioritize chilling as a part of my life. When asked if I have fun plans after work, my answer will often be that no, not fun, but a nice chill out session with myself. I of course also spend time with others and do what other people do, have fun, socialize and so forth, but taking a break for me is different. That's just me. I take short breaks in between my clients or longer breaks during my workday when my schedule allows it, or when I plan it, because I'm after all the one who decides. I remember why I started my company. It was not to become even more stressed out and to lose myself. I did it because I wanted to make my life even more mine. I wanted the freedom and power to do what I found meaningful. I know that I cannot perform my best when my mind is clouded and that I'm feeling constantly fatigued. I know that stress makes me feel like I cannot do as well as I want to for my clients. So I make it my business to take good care of myself. I am my investment, and I want to have a good life. Taking breaks and letting go, even if it's just for 10 minutes, is the key to keeping stress away. Continuing planning or thinking about work or checking emails are for me not taking a break. A break is when I think about something completely different, when I'm private me, just for a while. A break for me is when I do something that psychologist me wouldn't do. Checking out outfits online, watching series, YouTube clips, the news, playing on my phone, or strolling the city is not psychologist me activities. It's me activities. I make it a point to be me in my breaks. Then I take off my psychologist hat or my business owner hat and take on my me hat for a while. I recommend this to my clients as well. Of course I do. Because it works and it's supposed to work. And I see how they too end up reducing their stress symptoms in spite of having the same workload. Just by Googling sports results or music equipment in between their other doings. Just by taking some time during the day to be them and not professional them. There are many lessons in this and this simple action of deciding to take a break and doing so. I'll let you know more in another video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting. Please subscribe to my channel to help it grow. Hope you'll have a nice day, and I'll see you for the next one.